I have learned something today. Never take on a deck building challenge for a friend. Never. So, story time. A friend of mine built VV, and nobody in the playgroup was really super happy about that. And then that friend wanted to build a different Is It commander and asked me if I could help him with that. And he chose this monstrosity right here. This is Okiva Enigma Goliath, and I have learned from doing this little project, I will never be doing a deck build for a friend ever again, because when I do, it inadvertently becomes something like this. This commander, this monstrosity, ends games quickly with nightmarish amounts of damage, and I don't know if I can be held responsible for what people at your LGS are going to do to you when you roll up rocking this piece of shit. So, Ovika Enigma Goliath is a 7-mana commander with flying, ward 3, and then you have to pay 3 life as well. And if you cast a non-creature spell, create X 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell, and those tokens gain haste until end of turn. Now, you would think that being a 7-mana commander means that this thing is fine. It's fine. It's gonna be A-okay. No! No! Absolutely not! That is not what came out of this. No, that is not what came out of me testing this deck. I got this thing built last night. I have ran it through multiple tests on Moxfield, and the end result I have gotten to is utter fear. Utter, pure fear. I do not want to see this at a table, ever. Not after what I've been able to do with it for $20. I do not want to see what somebody does with this thing when they have money to shove into the damn deck. But, okay, let's go ahead and talk about what we are going to be doing here. What is our primary win condition? Well, it's hitting you with a lot of tokens. And I'm going to show you some cards that spawn tokens. And these are all things that are in the deck, and these are alternate win conditions. Alternate. Because you don't need Hermes, Overseer of Elpis. He does make birds, but you don't need that. Third Path Iconoclast makes colorless soldiers, but you don't need that. Shark Typhoon's in here. You could win a deck with that, but you don't need this. And you've got Saheeli in here as well. And yeah, she has a wonderful ability to allow you to extend your turns around by turning any of our servos we make with her into mana rocks, which you'll see why that matters when we get to the ramp section. But you don't need any of that to make this deck work. I think it's important to tell you right now, I'm talking about the core strategy right now, but the ramp section of this deck is 23 cards strong. The ramp section is the core strategy of this deck. I don't even know how I managed that. The ramp section is what this deck is supposed to be completely centered around. Now, I don't get it, but it works, and that scares me. So now let's talk about making the tokens that you have with your commander punch a bit harder. This thing is shared animosity. If we have a creature that attacks, it gets 1/0 until end of turn for every other attacking creature that we have. The math for this is insane. Ovika creates a board that is so big so quickly that as soon as shared animosity is out, at minimum, that board is swinging with 4 power per creature. Minimum. That's what the minimum amount is going to be. And trust me, the numbers are going to get very dumb after that. We also have Zephyr Singer, who can give all of our tokens flying so that they can get in a lot easier. We have Soulblade Jin. Whenever we cast a non-creature spell, we can give all of our creatures 1/1 until end of turn. But then we have this dumb card. Discard your hand, then draw 4 cards. And for every card we discarded, give all of our creatures +1/+0. Now, we can also plot this card so that we don't have to spend any mana on it on the turn that we want to actually utilize it. So we can build an abnormally big field of creatures and then swing with them all effectively being, what, 5/0, 6/0, 7/0? And when the field of creatures is like 18 creatures strong. I don't want to do the math for that, but I have a calculator open right now because I feel like I've had to do more math for this deck's combat damage than most other fucking decks I've made. And I'm the guy who had a deck built where somebody made a 50-page math thesis on how to make the deck do not infinite damage, but the most damage it possibly could do. This deck, thankfully, doesn't reach those numbers, but the numbers are absurdly lethal still. Then we have the Rapid Augmenter, the Levitating Statue, Devilish Valet, and Scroll of the Masters. Now, all of these have a secondary function. These are to allow you to do a lot of damage in a single punch as opposed to going wide. The Scroll of the Masters is a backup plan so that we can make sure that our commander can hit for commander damage to kill the life gain player. The Devilish Valet, anytime another creature we control enters, we can double its power until end of turn. So I want you to imagine for a minute, right? Okay, here I'm just gonna pull up the fucking calculator because I need it for this. So let's say I cast Paretic Charge, right? Let's ignore the Paretic Charge damage that's actually gonna happen, and let's say Devilish Valet is out. Paretic Charge is going to create 5 tokens when we cast it. And the Alliance mechanic does not see tokens as a single unit, it sees individual tokens. So the Devilish Valet will get doubled once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. This trampling, hasting 3-mana creature is hitting for 32 because we had the audacity to cast a mid-game spell. I've made the unfortunate mistake of making all fan art canon, and you guys use that to make a ton of doppelgangers of me that try to ruin my life. So why not go ahead and celebrate that cacophony by picking up the new channel playmat over on 4th Wall. When you pick up the playmat, take a picture and throw it up on social media tagging me so I can feature you in a future video. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the video. It's dumb. It's stupid, and Rapid Augmenter is very similar. Whenever another creature we control with base power of 1 enters, it gains haste. This grants haste to the creatures in our deck that are not the goblins that our commander gives haste to. It's also a way to allow us to do another big hit of damage, because anytime another creature we control enters, if it wasn't cast, we get to put a 1/1 counter on the Augmenter, and then it can't be blocked this turn. So in this situation, the Augmenter would be hitting for 6 damage instead of, 32, but it also can't be blocked, and it also holds on to those counters forever, and it only costs 3 mana as well, and I'm so tired. Why did I make this thing? Then we have the Levitating Statue. Like I said, whenever we cast a non-creature spell, we get to put a 1/1 counter on the statue. This is the least offensive version of this effect in the deck, but it gets to dodge board wipes. It gets to become a construct artifact that has flying to punch people, and then it gets to turn back into a non-creature card, allowing it to dodge Blasphemous Act. I do not like the fact that I put this thing in the deck. It feels like a bad Magic the Gathering card. But for some reason in this deck, it works really well. I don't get it. I'm tired. Oh, and in case you needed more ways for the deck to hurt people, we have a burn package here. We have Molten Gatekeeper, Witty Roastmaster, and Impact Tremors. All of these give us the ability to burn our opponents by 1 every single time we get a creature out on the board, which, might I remind you, we get a creature on the board for every mana we spend. I also have Surge of Victory in here. I don't know why I put it in the burn section, but I'm too lazy to move it. This thing allows us to exile an instance or sorcery from our graveyard and then add that card's mana value to each individual creature in power. I have seen nasty numbers come out of doing this because we have some cards in this deck that cost, and I shit you not, 10 mana. This thing can grant 10 power to anything on our board, and it doesn't do it to 1 creature, it does it to all of them. Anyway, it also allows us to cast that card without paying its mana cost, so we get free spells off this as well. It's effectively a recursion piece, and speaking of recursion pieces, we are also going to be running a singular Emery, Lurker of the Lock, who has affinity for artifacts and also allows us to get an artifact card in our graveyard and cast it. Our deck has 24 artifacts, so this can be used pretty well in the deck. Anyway, let's talk about drawing cards. Now, a deck like this needs a pretty significant draw engine, and fortunately, we've got a few cards that fit that bill really well here. Let's go over what we've got. We've got a dig through time to let us look at the top 7 cards of our library and be able to put one of those into our hand. Well, you get put 2 of them in your hand, but I mean, you're only probably going to cast one of those. When I've tested this deck, it's like, cast this thing, get 8 goblins, cast one more thing, game over. It is just kind of stupid. Then we have Meeting of the Minds. This allows us to draw 2 cards, but importantly, it has Convoke, so we can use our tokens to pay for it. Reality Heist costs 1 less for every artifact we control. Our deck has 24 of them, so this card's pretty easy to use, but it gets us 2 artifacts from the top 7 cards of our library. Rowdy Research draws us 3 cards, but it costs 1 less for every creature that's attacked this turn. We have lots of creatures that can swing, so we can drop this card's cost pretty well. And even if those creatures die, this card replaces all of those dead creatures by spawning 7 new dudes. Memory Deluge allows us to look at the top 4 cards of our library, put 2 of them in our hand, and it's got flashbacks, so we can do that twice later on in the game. Then we have this thing. Transcendent Message costs X, but it has Convoke. It lets us draw X cards. This is probably where a lot of my frustrations have come from, because every time I cast this fucking thing, the deck is able to just go wild. Not only does it usually draw 7 or 8 cards, but it also spawns an absurd amount of creatures. And because we have so many artifacts, we can also run Thought Monitor. I wanted to run Thoughtcast as well, but wouldn't you know it, that card now costs like $4, and I don't even know how or why. I play Affinity, and I am more happy to see Thought Monitor than I am to see Thoughtcast. And yet, somehow, this is the cheap one. Then we have Big Score. As an additional cost to cast this, discard a card, and then draw 2 cards. Then you get a treasure token when you do. Then we have Distant Melody. Choose a creature type. So just, like, choose Goblin, and then draw basically your entire deck. As just dumb card. Absolutely dumb card. Then we have Tell of the Great Sage. Anytime we cast a 4 or more mana card, we get to draw a card. It has other text written on it, and we are going to ignore all of that, because none of it matters. It draws us cards, it makes us tokens, and it can sometimes make Tele commit suicide, but ignore that. You didn't play Final Fantasy IV. Probably, maybe. Then we have Shentoto, the Tactician Magician. She draws us a card when we cast spells that cost 4 or more. And then we have the Party Thrasher, who can give us some extra impulse draw, but most importantly, he makes that impulse draw have Convoke, so we're able to spend less actual mana and get more shit for it. And then we have the Meeting of the Minds type cards that already have Convoke, but we can give Convoke to things like, I don't know, Reality Heist that don't need it. Or Memory Deluge that almost certainly don't need it. I don't know. The point is, we can cast big things without spending a lot of mana now. Now we get to our removal and interaction section, where we've got about 9 cards and a couple of board wipes. And this is a Storm-style deck, which is why we're going lower on the removal than I normally would. But we have Abrade and Suplex to get rid of either creatures or artifacts. Then we have the Volcanic Salvo, which costs X less, where X is the total power of creatures we control, and it deals 6 damage to 2 things, but like, that card costs 12. This card just costs 12, and we're not spending 12 for it. So remember that other card we talked about like a little while ago that I said was really dumb and really shaped most of my problems with how powerful this deck could be? Yeah, Surge to Victory. Now imagine using Surge to Victory and just casting this thing for free. You're like, oh yeah, it costed me 2 mana to Volcanic Salvo you. I'm gonna spend 6 mana, and now the game's over. Now every one of my creatures is going to be hitting you for a nightmarish amount of damage, like a stupid amount of damage. And don't forget, you casted multiple spells that way, so our commander is spawning a token for all of that shit. Then we have counter spells to protect ourselves. Amazing acrobatics to also get blockers out of the way, negate, refute, and assert authority because it has affinity for artifacts, and it's really easy to get that affinity up in this deck. Then we have resculpt, another way to get rid of creatures or get rid of artifacts, and then explosive singularity, another high mana value card that can deal lots of damage to any target if we need. And then we need to move on to the board wipes, where we have Perplexing Test, which will not affect us, and Calamity of Cinders, which if we swing with our creatures and then convoke with the rest, will also not affect us. So yeah, this thing's pretty freaking broken. Now, do note, the Calamity of Cinders will produce creatures with Ovika, and then Ovika's creatures will die to the Calamity of Cinders because they do not have an opportunity to tap in between the time that they are summoned. So you will lose 7 creatures every time you cast this, but like, they're the 7 creatures you didn't have before you casted it, so I think you're gonna be okay. Alrighty, let's talk about 23 different ramp spells. There's just a lot of them here. And okay, so here we have Commander Sphere, which I normally don't like, but in this deck, we need to hit a critical mass of ramp spells. So we've got Command Sphere, Fire Diamond, Firemind Vessel. The Vessel can tap for 2 colors. That's really important. Fractured Power Stone, Letter of Acceptance. This is just a really bad Command Sphere. Honored Heirloom. This can actually get rid of cards in graveyards. This is fantastic. Heraldic Banner. This thing can just help you win games. It effectively doubles the power of all the goblins on your field if you have nothing else, giving them all 1/0. Then we have Hedron Archive, which taps for 2 mana and can be sacked to draw 2 cards. Prismatic Lens, which is a 2-mana rock, not unlike Fractured Power Stone, but maybe slightly better. Ring of the Lucy, Sisay's Ring, Stonekeeper Crystal, Urgolem's Eye. All of these are just 4-mana rocks. They have other text on them. Outside of Stonespeaker Crystal, none of that other text actually matters. The crystal can be used to get rid of everybody's graveyards in case you need that later in the game. Then, of course, we have Wayfarer's Bauble, the card that can give us any land out of the deck really easy. A Sky Diamond to pair with that Fire Diamond. A Midnight Clock to give us access to some draw later in the game if we start to run out of resources. An Unstable Obelisk so that we can get rid of problematic permanents later in the game without having to give up being a mana rock in its own right. The Emperor of Palamecia, a card that can flip into the Lord Master of Hell, which doesn't do a whole lot for our deck, but the Emperor itself being able to tap for red or blue is still really good. Izzet Signet, a 2-mana rock, and a Worn Power Stone, a 3-mana rock that allows us to get 2 mana whenever we tap it. Then we have Arcane Signet, because again, critical mass of cards. We also have the Invasion of Segovia, which is a battle that gives us tokens, but once we break it, it turns into Seatus Sea Tyrant of Segovia, which gives all of our non-creature spells Convoke. This is the second way we have to give everything in our deck Convoke. And then we have Chief Engineer, which gives all of our artifact spells Convoke. The third way we have to give cards in our deck Convoke. And then we have our lands, 11 islands and 8 mountains, with our tapped dual lands being an Izzet Boilerworks and then a Temple of Epiphany, so we have access to Scry early, with our untapped lands being Frostboil Snarl, Exotic Orchard, Cascade Bluffs, Ferris Lake, Sulphur Falls, and Shivan Reef. And, well, we've got a lot of fetching lands too, because we really want to hit both of our colors, so we have Ash Barrens to cycle for basic lands when we need, Evolving Wilds, Escape Tunnel, Vibrant Cityscape, and Terramorphic Expanse. These are all the exact same card, and then a Myriad Landscape to give us our 24th way to ramp. Then we have our utility lands, an Archway of Innovation, which can give the next spell we cast Improvise our 5th, 4th, I don't know, our next way to make sure that we are able to get lots and lots of convoking style stuff here. And then we have the Sunken Palace, which can allow us to exile 7 cards from our graveyards to copy any spell that we cast. Now note, this will not give us more things with our commander, but it can extend our turns a lot. And also please note, Archway of Innovation, this does give spells Improvise, but it will not work with our commander's Phyrexian Goblins as they are not artifacts. It will, however, work with Saheeli's Servo tokens. So the fact that this is an untapped bit of blue mana that sometimes gives us access to Improvise is why it is in here. That said, let's talk about how to play this monster. All right, let's look at what our opening hand is. A Temple of Epiphany and a Frostboil Snarl. This is a risky hand with 2 tapped lands and then an Emperor and then a Command Sphere. We really want more lands and ramp, but I'm willing to run with it because the Temple does give us access to that Scry. We draw an Honored Heirloom. Let's play the Temple and hope there's a land up top. There is. Sweet. That means on our turn 2, we get to play the Frostboil Snarl, show you guys this mountain, and then tap 2 to get the Emperor of Palamecia out. That means our next turn gets to be playing Ferris Lake, tapping 3, playing the Honored Heirloom, and then passing. Turn 4 gets to be playing the mountain, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So we tap 1, 2, 3, get the Command Sphere out, and then tap 1, 2, 3, get the Unstable Obelisk out, and then we can actually go ahead and just pay 1 and get Emery out, milling 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we can cast artifacts from our grave if we need. And we're going to use that here in a minute, because when turn 4 comes up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 mana available. Let's go ahead and get the big boy out. Ovika is out and ready to go. And now all we have to do is cast some dumb shit. Like, for instance, let's draw our opening hand, or draw our next card. That's Tella. Let's go ahead and hit our opponents for a lot. Check this out. We've done nothing this game, right? We've done nothing at all. We are going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we are going to cast Surge to Victory. Now, Surge to Victory is going to trigger our commander. That is going to spawn Phyrexian Goblins. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Phyrexian Goblins when we do that. The Surge for Victory is then going to get rid of Pyretic Charge from our graveyard. And now the Surge for Victory is going to give all of our goblins +5/+0. Let's break out the calculator. What's that number look like? Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goblins, and they are getting 5 damage. So each one of these goblins is hitting for 6. We have 36 damage in goblins right now. Now the Pyretic Charge happens. That is a spell that is being cast. So Ovika is going to spawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more goblins. And then that Pyretic Charge will say we can discard our hand away. 1, 2, 3, and draw 1, 2, 3, 4. And then each of our goblins is going to get +3/+0 because we did that. So we had 36 damage in goblins before, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11 goblins. We spawned, what was it, 5? There's our math. And now we have 11 times 3, so 33. 74. That's our turn 6 damage output. We have 74 damage in goblins. 74 damage in goblins. Oh, but we can make that number bigger. We can make that number bigger, because we can cast Explosive Singularity and get 10 more goblins. We're not going to. We're not going to do that. But we can swing with all these goblins, killing at least one player, and maybe even a second player. Let's go ahead and throw these cards here. The Pyretic Charge is gone. The Surge for Victory is in our graveyard. We've killed at least one player, maybe a second player. And then, if we chose to hold up, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can then say, hey, guess what, buddies? Calamity of Cinders. For the 1 or 2 opponents that are still left standing, we are going to deal 6 damage to every untapped creature. We are going to wipe the fucking board out. You don't have a board state. So now when my turn comes up, I can pay 1, 2, 3, and I can play my Trampling, Hasting, Devilish Valet. And now, with the Explosive Singularity, I can just tap a bunch of goblins. I don't have to do anything but that. We're gonna tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goblins and 2 mana, and we are gonna play the Explosive Singularity. We're gonna deal 10 damage to whatever target we're worried about, but that will spawn 10 goblins. And now this Devilish Valet, which is staring at the one guy who needs to die, we're going to multiply his power by 2. Okay? That was the first goblin. There are 9 more to go. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Devilish Valet, please hit the one player that's still fucking alive for 1,024 damage. Why did I build this? So normally the deck upgrade package here is cards that you cannot afford to put in the deck as it is, but you definitely should be considering putting in. That's not what this one is today. The upgrade package for this deck is a little bit different. These are cards that, in some cases, like Decanter of Endless Water, costed too much for me to put in, and that's fair. But for some cards, it's things like Eternity Elevator, that I think go in the deck perfectly, and I could have fit in the budget, but I simply did not have space with the build I was running with. Is this better than certain things in the deck? Absolutely it is, but that is entirely on you if you want to find where that goes. Or maybe I'll build this as a $20 deck, put it in paper, test it out, figure out which cards need to leave, and then this can make its way in. But till then, this thing's kind of busted, and it's super easy to get it going. Krenko Mob Boss is also super easy to fit in a deck like this. Just create goblins equal to the number of goblins we have in a deck that makes an absurd amount of goblins. Tears of Rage can go in here as well. Again, not an upgrade in price, just an upgrade in quality. This thing can make it to where we deal a shit ton of damage, where all of our creatures get XO, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Splitting with 10 creatures, give all of our creatures plus X plus O. Treasure Cruise can make us spawn even more creatures by getting us the ability to draw 3 cards. Honestly, this can fit in this version of the deck. Just make the swap out where you want. Mind Stone, Thran Dynamo, Talisman of Creativity, Fel Warstone, all of these are just mana rocks that do what the deck wants to do. They're just higher quality rocks than what's in the deck right now. I could not fit a Skull Clamp in here via the price of it, though. Being able to turn any of our goblins into a free draw 2 is just way too hard to pass up. And then we have cards like City on Fire. If a source would deal damage to a player or a permanent, deal triple that damage instead. This thing can cost only 0 mana in this deck. Just convoke it and then replace all the goblins that you threw out with the goblins you get from the convoke. It's so stupid. And then we have Windfall. Each player discards their hand, draws cards equal to the cards they discarded. At least the cards that were discarded by the person with the biggest hand size. Easy way to refresh our hands. There's the aforementioned Thoughtcast I wanted to put in the deck, but it costed too much money for it. And why does that say $1? I could have sworn it said $3 when I was trying to build it. And then we have Keep Watch, which is Tears of Rage, but it draws us a card for every attacking creature instead. And you know what? Yeah, I wish these were from the same set because it's super thematic. But yeah, being able to draw a card for all of our creatures that are swinging is really good. And for only $1, it's easy to put in. Like I said, this upgrade section has nothing to do with the actual monetary value of cards. Most of these are just good side grade cards that if you find things that you do not like in the current build of the deck, can easily find their way in. And who knows, I may test some of the more of this as we go, and if I find that I want to actually run some of these, then Brutaclad may finally be being swapped out in my $15 deck bin for this as my Izzet deck. Who knows? We'll see. But that all said, I want to say thank you very much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you being here, checking out my channel, seeing me go through a panic attack because I made something that is absolutely monstrous. I'm sorry for that, but I'm also not sorry because I did it and I'm proud of myself. But also I'm kind of sorry because if you bring this to your LGS, somebody is going to say something. That said, if you do want to pick this deck up, the easiest thing to do is to head over to Moxfield. In the description, you should see a link to the deck. Go ahead and grab the deck right here. Clicking Buy Deck, go over to Mana Pool, click Buy Now for the deck. After you've got the deck in your cart, then head over to the description in here and click on this link, the Mana Pool link, where you will be helping my channel out a ton. And if you've not used Mana Pool before, you will get a $5 discount for anything that you are picking up in the store that time. But remember, that's only if you are a new Mana Pool user. But if you are not, if you just want to click that link to help support my channel, I would be eternally grateful. It helps me continue to make decks like this on the channel. It helps me continue to be able to do this constantly. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. It means the world to me, and I will see you in the next one.